Okay, so we're given this problem where we're told that our gross annual income is $36,000. And we're asked to find a few different values. We're supposed to find out what's the maximum value we should spend on a mortgage payment, what's the maximum we should spend on a credit for the rest of our credit obligations, and then if our mortgage payment is 70% of the maximum, then what should we be spending on the rest of our debt. And so this is hinging around some general advice from typical financial advisors, and it basically says that no more than 28% of our gross monthly income should be spent on the mortgage payment. And so no more than 28% should be on the mortgage payment, and then no more than 36% of our gross monthly income should be spent on all other credit obligations. And so notice that this is an annual income, and these are monthly mortgage payments, and those percentages I told you were for the month. And so the first thing I need to do is I need to take that $36,000 and you divide it by 12 to get a gross monthly income. And so my gross annual income was $36,000. I need my gross monthly income. Gross monthly. And that's going to be that 36,000 divided by 12. And so if I do 36,000 divided by 12, what I'm going to get is $3,000 a month. So $3,000 a month gross. So that will be my gross monthly income. Okay, and so for part A, I'm supposed to find the maximum amount that I should spend on the mortgage payment. Well, that's going to be 28% of that 3,000. Remember, I never use 28% as a number 28. I always convert it to a ratio, which means divide by 100. And so I'm going to find 28% of 3,000 is going to be 0.28, right? 0.28. Trying to make that 8 look like an 8. And then that's times my 3,000. And so that's going to be 0.28 times my 3,000. And so it'll be $840 should be my maximum mortgage payment. And still have enough money to make ends meet in the other parts of my life. Now it says, how much should my total credit obligations be? Well, that'll be almost the same math, except I'm going to use 36% instead of 28%. And so I have 0.36 times the 3,000. And what's that going to be? 0.36 times my 3,000. And that'll be $1,080 per month. Should be the most of that 3,000 that actually gets spent on debt of any kind. And then we get kind of asked a funny question. We get asked if our mortgage payment is 70% of the maximum mortgage payment that I can afford, then what's the maximum amount that I can spend on all other debt? And if you're used to reading these kinds of technical sentences, it's not that big of a mouthful. But if you're not used to parsing these things kind of left to right, one bite at a time, that's kind of a big ask. So let's think about this for a second. Monthly mortgage payment is 70% of the maximum you can afford. Now, I've kind of been talking to you all about translation a bit, and translation between English and math, because math is a language. It's a way to communicate like any other. And I've said that the word is almost always translates into an equals sign. And so what I really have is that my mortgage payment equals 70%, 0.7, of almost always translates to multiplication. So times maximum I can afford. Well, maximum I can afford for my mortgage payment was $840. And so that's the value that I put in there because that's the maximum I can afford. And so I can find out the value of that mortgage payment relatively quickly by saying that this mortgage payment, I'll call it M sub P for mortgage payment, equals 0.7 times my 840. And that's 70% of the largest mortgage payment that I should afford. And so that's going to be 0.7 times my 840. And so I have a $588 mortgage payment. So that equals a $588 mortgage payment. And so the question then asks, and this is what we're actually asked to determine, is what is the amount of money that I should spend on all other debt? Well, I found out that the most that I should spend on all of my debt combined is $1,080. And so what I should do is I should take that $1,080 and I should subtract that $1,080 and I should subtract the $588 of the mortgage payment from that. And that'll give me $1,080 minus $588, and that'll give me $492 a month to spend on the rest of my debt. I shouldn't have any more debt than that, or it will be very difficult for me to pay it off in the end. I hope that helps with these kinds of calculations.